Tuesday, April 12th at 7 o'clock, and I'd like to call the City of Twinsburg Caucus meeting to order. Shannon, please call the roll.
Mr. Savini?
Here.
Mr. Fury?
Here.
Mr. Coast?
Here.
Mrs. Walker?
Present.
Mr. Ellen?
Here.
Mrs. Laddie?
Here.
Mr. Barr?
Here.
Okay, we have no presentations this evening, all right? The mayor's not here. Where'd he go?
He was here.
He was here 2 seconds ago.
I'm assuming.
There's no presentation.
Okay.
No.
All right, audience participation for the caucus.
Yes. First, we have Steve Hummel.
Couple things, Steve Hummel, 2500 Old Mill Road, Hudson, Ohio, 44236. So, really, I'm up here to talk about gumbo a little bit, and a couple things, really, ordinance 1175 is what I'm interested in tonight. My interest is in where we're draining the runoff to from the site. You know, we talked about it in the Summit County Engineers Manual. They talk about watersheds and what they're talking about there. It would be 8.3 runoff control criteria. I'll just go to 8.3. The diversion of stormwater runoff from one watershed or receiving stormwater system to another is generally prohibited because such diversions have potential to cause or exacerbate flooding, erosion, or water quality problems in the receiving water courses. The county engineer will not allow the diversion of stormwater runoff from one major storm sewer system to an open water course or to another without proper documentation that includes proof of benefit. So basically what's happening here in Gumbo, I've got these plans and I just do water. This is what I used to kind of do a little bit. Of the whole watershed right there, if everybody can see that yellow line across the top, that's about the amount of the watershed that will go to where that pond discharges back there. It's about 16 acres. The remaining 30, 40 acres drain down that main blue line that goes across the middle there. Those are two separate watersheds. Where that pond is up in that corner up there, that emergency runoff, that emergency spillway runs off into Kevin Brown's property according to these plans. That's all I see. And it's going right across Kevin's land and it's cutting its own channel to that creek. Now, all the plans that I got don't show any detailed plans for emergency spillways and everything of that nature. They can't have a basin that size and not show emergency spillways and not show that they're not going to erode when you get a high stormwater event. But what I'm getting at here is they're diverting this whole 47 acres to this point when the vast majority of it never went to that point. That's a whole separate watershed back there. And by doing so, they're going to drain up, they're going to dry up the creek behind these folks' property. That's, I don't have to crunch the numbers to show you, according to the county engineer, and in your ordinance 1175, it states that the water quality and quantity shall remain desirable. It's no longer desirable if they do what they're going to do according to plan. So, thank you. I'll trip myself up, I guess. So that's the one thing that I was going to want to talk about. Though the other thing is the fill issue. I don't know if anybody recognizes what they're trying to do, but they're trying to change the elevation in there. Hutchinson's property, their garage level is at 1162 or 1062. By the time they bring the fill in to fill this whole site, because that's what they want to do, that's why they're blocking this water course up, because they want to maximize the use. Hutchinson will be standing in his garage, and that first building that's closest to Hutchinson's is going to be 20 feet higher than his floor. Their floor is at 1083, Hutchinson's at 1063. That's an awful lot of fill. They're putting in, I'm doing more of a calculation than I saw from the engineer at Scannell So I didn't see any calculations for fill in their project. What I'm seeing there is darn near 100,000 cubic yards of fill. It's about 7,000 trucks in there. Where's that fill coming from? And that, even if you go 35 feet for a building, and then you add it to another 10 to 15 feet of fill, we're talking 50 feet of elevation change. So what are the height requirements really? What's really allowable here? Because height requirements are about the disturbance of the neighborhood, which this definitely encroaches. There's residential neighborhood on 3 sides of this. When Sifron went in, it wasn't encroachment, it was minimal. It was minimal. There's the purple, Sifron, purple. All the green is the residential. When these guys go in, that's the tongue of orange that encroaches. I don't know what your definition of encroachment is, but all this green, that's all residents all the way around. And all those blue dots are wells. We're talking about 100,000 cubic yards of fill, and that I would construe as encroachment.
Fine.
And now I'll leave it at that, and thank you for listening. And I'll talk again here in a little bit.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks.
Next, we have Lynn Clark.
Ladies and gentlemen, Lynn Clark, 2485 Old Mill Road. And I just wanted to offer a couple of comments about the comprehensive plan. I understand it's on the agenda again tonight. And the particular issue that I had, I understand there haven't been any modifications since the last version that was presented a couple of weeks ago. And in particular, curious about the criteria that were used as they describe the developable plan lands here inside the city of Twinsburg. Some of the property has been described as semi-undevelopable because of wetland areas, undesirable because of its interaction between residential properties. Some of it's described as being beautiful wooded territory. And yet we get to Old Mill Road and they don't talk about any of those criteria. And so if the descriptors are appropriate for other properties, why don't we have a similar understanding for what at least the Old Mill property used to look like? Heavily wooded, very beautiful. It's got wetlands, it's got high groundwater table, exposed bedrock that is the aquifer for the residential properties, and I believe it's the only property in the city that does not have public water supply. And that, I would think, should make it a fairly notable property, and again, encourage this board to modify this part of the comprehensive plan. The second issue I wanted to speak to before I run out of time, I know Shannon's got her clock going over there, was as I looked at some of the other issues on the agenda tonight, there's several things that talk about capital expense. And it looked like 2 or 3 of them had to do with purchase of things that I think are related to the recreational facilities here in town. Now, as I understand the audit that was done by the treasurer of the state of Ohio a couple of years ago, it says we need to get our finances under control relative to our recreational facilities here in town. Is that not right? Am I paraphrasing that right, ma'am?
I'd have to review the part of the performance audit you're looking at.
And so all I'm encouraging is we follow the recommendations that were set forth by the auditor and not continue to subsidize the golf course and the other recreational facilities here in town. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Parker.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's it? Okay. Then we will move on to legislation, pending legislation. We have ordinance 30, 2022. This is an ordinance to amend the council rules to update the boards and commissions list and remove the chart that was used to assign council members to committees. Anybody have any questions on that? Okay. Mr. Pierce, did you have something?
I didn't. First reading, so we're not taking action on this tonight.
No.
Thank you.
Oh, I have a question, Sam.
Yes.
Let's see. The, I think it was a charter review oversight Charter review. One of these, yeah, okay, the charter review oversight is on here, and that was the one that I thought was going to be discontinued.
It's on the current list.
Yes, it was. Charter Review Commission,
Do you have that list?
right here.
Are you looking at 3022?
Right, because that's the one that I had, and then we stated about maybe 2 meetings ago that it was going to be discontinued.
I thought we had to keep that one.
Yeah, I think
I'm not sure.
The Charter Oversight Committee was created not by the charter,
No,
but
we were
by
keeping it.
ordinance. And I showed that it was going to be taken off on the first version, or the lined out version.
Right.
That we had. It doesn't matter to me whether we do or not. If we're not currently filling it,
And I think that was the case. We were keeping it, and then we thought we'd fill it if we needed
we
to.
needed to.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't hurt to have it there,
Oh,
is what I remember.
that's what I
Oh.
recall, Mr.
You remember that? Yeah.
Okay.
It
That's
didn't.
what I was gonna say, that I thought at the end we decided to pause on that removal piece,
Correct.
clean up this section of the code, and then if we needed to revisit later whether or not we'd
Oh.
remove the oversight committee.
okay. So that will be one of my commissions to go to, since I'm on it, whenever they have
Well,
a meeting?
whenever we appoint people, and if we need it, when we
Okay.
appoint people and we use it, yes.
Okay,
Because that's on your list, correct?
yeah,
Okay.
it's right here. Mhm.
Okay. Is that it? Any other questions on that? All right, we'll move on to 37, 2022. This is an ordinance to adopt the 2021 comprehensive plan as approved by the Planning Commission at their January 24th meeting. This ordinance will be read 3 times. So I believe this will be its second reading tonight. Questions on that? Resolution 38, 2022, this is a resolution it's for the approval for the city to purchase road salt through the ODOT annual road salt bid. Amount will not be known until the bid is selected through ODOT. So everybody got that and understand that? Okay, yeah, we've done that for the last few years through ODOT, if I remember. Okay, ordinance 39, 2022. This ordinance is to approve the auction list of items the city no longer uses. If there are any addition or changes through the 3 reading process, we will update the list, will be provided. This is on its first reading tonight. I guess I have a question. Is this planned to go through Gov Deals? Is that what we're gonna put these? Okay. Well, all the items on the list, because I saw the list, so everything's going on Gov Deals.
Yes.
Okay. Anybody else have a question?
I've
All right.
asked Chris to, we have 3 pickup trucks that they're 2008, they're old. We typically give the worst truck from the service department to the golf course maintenance group. And the one that they have now requires a lot of maintenance. So Chris is going to look into whether they want to keep one of these and swap it out.
Okay. That one truck that they have right now, what's it being used for? Did they use it a lot?
They use it to.
From my understanding, it's just used to run for parts and stuff like that.
And put equipment in the back to move it around, so.
Okay, well, I mean, if we could bring one down from his department over,
Yeah,
that's not an
if
issue.
if we're gonna sell 3, and one of those is better than the one that's there, let's just swap it out
That
and sell
makes
the other
sense.
one.
Yeah, that makes sense. We have Resolution 40, 2022. This resolution is for the continuance of various community reinvestment area agreements. The Tax Incentive Review Commission met on March 24th and reviewed all the CRA on top agreements and made the recommendation to continue the agreements with the companies in the resolution. Everybody, all the companies were listed. Anybody have any questions on that?
Page 4, Verizon is spelled out.
Correct that.
I saw that, I just. Page 4.
Bill, you were there, right?
I was there,
Yeah.
I have details, I have numbers if you want to hear them. About specific questions, I've got 30
What was your
agreements.
question about
Are
Verizon?
you referring to the minutes from the Tax Incentive Review Commission?
I'm looking at the,
The legislation is only 2 pages.
it's probably, maybe it's the minutes then.
It's
I'm looking at
It's the minutes.
the minutes.
The
Minutes
minutes
on
would be
page
It's
approved
the
till
minutes.
next year. Are they the 2022 minutes or the 2021 minutes?
March 24th.
The March 24th, 2022,
Okay.
the minutes on page
We
4.
have lots of time to fix that. They don't get approved for another year at that meeting.
It's noted and we'll fix it.
That's all it was saying when I read it earlier today. I saw the rise misspelled. I just wanted,
Okay.
thank you.
Next, we have Resolution 41, 2022. This resolution is for the continuation of various Twinsburg occupancy program agreements. Stated before the Tax Agenda Review Commission met and made the recommendation to continue the agreements with the companies listed in the resolution. Any questions on that one? Okay, we have Resolution 42, 2022. This resolution is to terminate the top agreement with Scratch-Off Systems. Upon review, the commission recommended terminating this agreement for the failure to maintain and retain job and wage commitments. Any questions there, council? Okay, ordinance 43, 2022. This ordinance to accept the 2021 NOPEC grant to be used for installation of garage doors for the police and service departments. Money was appropriated in 2021, but the work was not complete. Therefore, we are reappropriating it in 2022. This is also to accept the 2022 grant, which will be used for the community center LED light replacement in the amount of $10,000. The remainder will be used to offset the cost of the City Hall uplighting project. That amount is approximately $23,000. Questions there? Everybody understand the the NOPEC agreements? Okay. Resolution 44, 2022. This resolution is to apply for a grant from the State Nature Works Program to replace the pedestrian bridge over Tinkers Creek at East Idlewood from the parking lot to the playground. Estimated cost of the replacement is $195,000. I understand the grant would be a 50-50, I believe is what Amy said earlier today. Questions there? Okay, we have Resolution 45, 2022. It's a resolution to appoint one member to the ARB board due to the vacancy when member Don Spice resigned. We did have an interview earlier. We will be amending that to add the name of Mike Gillen to that legislation when we pass that at the council meeting.
An emergency.
An emergency,
It's already
yeah.
set up that way.
Okay, so we're good. And we have ordinance 46, 2022. This ordinance is to accept the bid of Magna Grip for the diesel exhaust source capture system using funds from the 2020 assistance to the firefighters grant. Total cost is $53,652. Questions there, council? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on. Ordinance 47, 2022. This ordinance is to purchase a Foley grinder for the golf maintenance department in the amount of $46,615.78. This item was approved by the Capital Improvements Board and the Finance Committee, and the funds have been appropriated. We are also at this time replacing a 1996 Foley grinder. So they're in desperate need of this grinder equipment. Everybody okay? And finally, we have ordinance 48, 2022. This ordinance authorizes the city to both participate in the Sourcewell Cooperative Purchasing Program and to enter into agreement for the purchase of a Toro Groundmaster 4000 rough mower. This item was approved by the Capital Improvements Board and the Finance Committee, and the funds have been appropriated. This will replace a 2006 rough mower. Questions there? Okay. That's all for legislation. Under miscellaneous, does anybody on council have anything to discuss under miscellaneous? Bill. Call it out. Bill?
I'd sent some numbers out to everybody regarding the dispatching contract that's expiring with Minderville. I think that I'd like to see us do something similar to the contract we do with the township that would take into account what our costs are, what our capital expenditures are, and make sure that we're at least breaking even on providing that service. Minderville is currently like 11 to 11.6% of our call volume, which is up. They used to be at 6 to 7%. So, and it expires on May 22nd, so we should notify them that and there's not a rollover clause, so it would just expire.
Mayor, do we have a meeting with them to discuss this contract as it's coming to a close here, or, what are we doing? For a reminder for the dispatch contract. I mean, I understand what you're saying, and I agree with you, but I would much rather sit down with them and tell them where we're going.
Absolutely.
Than just pass something.
But we-
I didn't know
we don't-
where you were going with it, that's why I asked it.
Yeah.
If we're gonna be
I
negotiating this
apologize.
contract with them and talk
In
with
the
them.
past, the police chief and the
Yeah.
law director have done it.
Yeah, what,
Mayor.
Yeah, no, I know in the past, again, the last time we renegotiated it, there was a significant increase, so we can look at the documents you provided, the numbers, but we'll have to sit down with them and also talk internally regarding that particular contract.
Yeah, Sarah and I are planning on conferencing about past costs and breaking out what numbers we want to target, and then we'd move forward from that point to reaching out to Reminder Men.
Thank you. That's all I have.
That's it. I have a couple things. I'll be making a motion at the regular meeting to go out to bid for the Public Works uniform contract. The current contract is an extension period, and that will expire at the end of this year, 12/10/22. Also, I'll be making a motion for a D1 liquor permit for Sheets during the regular meeting, similar to the permit that we just gave to
Gecko.
Gecko. Okay. Other than that, that's all we have. Did you want to say something, Mary?
No, I was going to say, if we could, do an executive session.
Okay.
Yeah.
At this time, I'd like to make a motion that we go into executive session to discuss pending litigation. Is there a second?
I'll second.
30 seconds, any discussion? Okay, Shannon, call the roll.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker? Yes. Mr. Post?
Yes.
Mrs. Labby? Yes. Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes. Okay, we'll go into executive session. We will come back.
Oh,
Excuse me,
sorry,
and
sorry.
We'll close the meeting, and then we'll start the regular council.